Good evening and thank you for joining us. We're learning new details tonight about the agreement to allow a crucial new bridge to open at the end of this month. The Gordie Howe International Bridge connects Windsor and Detroit, Canada's busiest trade corridor with the U.S. Canada had agreed to finance its construction, costing more than $6 billion. And in return, the Canadian government was supposed to recoup those costs through toll revenues. But as Sean O'Shea reports, it seems the Trump administration had other plans.
8 years after construction began, the Gordie Howe International Bridge will finally open to Canada-U.S. border travel on July 27th.
Well, it should be open. It shouldn't be sitting there unused.
A vital link between Windsor, Ontario and Detroit, Michigan, at a border key to Canada's economy.
Canada is celebrating a big success that could change the way goods and people move across the border. The country built an important bridge and made sure it would also bring long-term benefits. Many believe this smart step will help Canada's economy grow even stronger. In July 2026, Canada and Michigan reached an agreement on a confirmed opening date for the Gordie Howe International Bridge, July 27th, 2026. The announcement came through a federal news release from Canada's Department of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities. The $4.7 billion bridge was paid for entirely by Canada. Construction is complete. Custom staff are ready on both sides. The 6-lane, cable-stayed span crossing the Detroit River between Windsor and Ontario has a main span of 853 meters, the longest cable-stayed bridge main span in North America. And Canada secured a revenue-sharing arrangement before agreeing to open it that the original 2012 agreement did not provide. The revenue deal is the commercial outcome that makes July 27th more than simply a delayed ribbon cutting. A senior Canadian government source confirmed to CBC News that Canada will receive 50% of toll profits for the first 15 years of the bridge's operation. The other half will go toward a regional economic development fund, a mechanism that distributes benefits on both sides of the border, rather than flowing entirely to one party. The structure of that arrangement, 50% of toll revenue to Canada for 15 years, backed by a dedicated development fund, is meaningfully different from what the original 2012 agreement provided. The 2012 agreement required Canada to collect all toll revenue until its full $4.7 billion construction investment was recovered, after which revenue would split equally with Michigan. The new structure accelerates Canada's revenue participation while adding a regional investment component that was not part of the original framework. The bridge itself is a documented piece of infrastructure whose technical specifications place it in a specific category within North American transportation. The cable-stayed bridge spans approximately 2.5 kilometers in total, with the 853-meter main span clearing the Detroit River. It has 6 traffic lanes compared to the Ambassador Bridge's 4, with modern ports of entry on both sides, equipped with advanced cargo screening and border processing technology. The highway connections are direct. Highway 401 on the Canadian side, and Interstate 75 on the American side, bypassing the surface streets of Windsor and Detroit that commercial trucks currently use to access the Ambassador Bridge. A University of Windsor study projected the Gordie Howe would save commercial truckers $2.3 billion over 30 years compared to continuing to use the Ambassador Bridge at its current toll rates. The Windsor-Detroit corridor handles approximately $126 billion worth of goods moved by commercial trucks annually, the largest single bilateral trade corridor in North America by surface freight. Value. The Gordie Howe Bridge adds 6 lanes of direct highway-connected capacity to a corridor that was previously dependent on the Ambassador Bridge's 4 aging lanes and the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel for automotive traffic. The Ambassador Bridge, which opened in 1929, is 97 years old. It remains the primary commercial crossing on the corridor. When the Gordie Howe opens on July 27th, commercial truckers whose crossing cost at the Ambassador runs between $100 and $140 per truck will have access to the Gordie Howe's commercial rate of approximately $60 per crossing, a price difference that gives freight operators an immediate financial incentive to shift volume to the new bridge. The path to July 27th required Canada to navigate a sustained American political effort to extract additional concessions from a completed, legally agreed, binationally owned infrastructure project before it was permitted to open. The original June 13th ribbon cutting was canceled 2 days before it was scheduled to occur, after U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and U.S. Ambassador to Canada Pete Hoekstra, both of whom learned about the planned ceremony from media reports rather than through official channels, objected and demanded a delay. Their documented goal was to negotiate a deal protecting the financial position of the Maroon family, the billionaire private owners of the Ambassador Bridge, whose toll revenue would be directly affected by competition from the lower-cost Gordie Howe. The New York Times reported that the Maroon family had donated $1 million to a Trump-aligned political action committee before the administration reversed its previously stated support for the project. A testament to what Canada can accomplish when we come together with a shared vision, said Housing and Infrastructure Minister Gregor Robertson in the July 11th announcement. Robertson framed the bridge as delivering economic benefits on both sides of the border for generations, a characterization that the commercial structure of the new revenue-sharing deal makes documentably more specific than the original 2012 framework allowed. The July 27th opening date arrives against a backdrop of simultaneous major Canadian infrastructure announcements that reframe the bridge as one node in a broader national trade diversification program. The Canada-BC Cooperative Prosperity Agreement, signed July 2nd, committed $10 billion to the Roberts Bank Terminal expansion and $3 billion to the Massey Tunnel replacement. The Northern Shield Energy Corridor proposal, a 3,300-kilometer pipeline from Alberta to Sarnia, was announced July 6th. The West Coast Oil Pipeline's formal proposal was submitted to the Federal Major Projects Office July 3rd. The NATO summit in Ankara on July 7th confirmed Canada's $63 billion defense spending commitment and the TKMS submarine selection. The Gordie Howe's July 27th opening is the trade infrastructure milestone, arriving at the end of a 3-week period during which Canada announced more consequential infrastructure commitments than in any comparable recent period. The commercial impact of the opening will be measured in freight volume data from the first months of operation. CTV News reported that bridge opening is confirmed for the end of the month, following weeks of delays since the canceled June ceremony. The Windsor-Detroit Bridge Authority's formal notice confirming July 27th describes an opening that both governments have now publicly committed to a documented bilateral agreement rather than the unilateral Canadian declaration that the June 13th ceremony would have been. Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkens, who throughout the delay period publicly stated that Canada need not fall on bent knee to secure the bridge's opening, and that no deal was preferable to a bad deal, will see the crossing he has championed for years open to traffic on July 27th with Canada's construction investment protected through a 15-year revenue participation structure. The $2.3 billion in projected trucking cost savings over 30 years, savings that could not begin accumulating while the bridge remained closed with no opening date, will begin to materialize through the lower commercial toll rates that freight operators will pay at the Gordie Howe compared to the Ambassador Bridge rates they have been absorbing since the original June ceremony was canceled. The Maroon family's Ambassador Bridge will continue operating. Nothing in the July 11th agreement eliminates the Ambassador or restricts its operations. What changes on July 27th is that the Ambassador Bridge's monopoly on commercial truck crossings between Windsor and Detroit, a monopoly that has existed for 97 years, ends. American trucking companies, Canadian exporters, and the automotive supply chain that crosses the Detroit River multiple times during vehicle production will have a choice of crossing for the first time in nearly a century. The price of that choice, at Gordie Howe's commercial rate, is approximately half of what the Ambassador currently charges.